we're looking at XRP, a surge in the Ripple community. The South Korean crypto trading mania has seemingly returned, fueling that surge in XRP tokens. And Emily, you've been on that. What's going on?
Yeah, so we've been talking a lot about this on the show about this XRP surge that kind of looked like it came out of nowhere. Well, not exactly out of nowhere, because I think some people are looking at what's going to happen with XRP and the SEC and finally having a resolution to this kind of long-time conflict. But it appears that there has been a missing piece to this puzzle that explains a lot of what's happening with XRP, and that is Korea. So our colleague Shaurya reported on it very early this morning. Just some really interesting stats in here, basically saying that in the past 24 hours, XRP trading made up 37% of all volume on Bithumb, 18% of volume on UpBit, and a staggering 50% of all volume on Korbit. These are big Korean exchanges, but UpBit is by far the biggest. This is data from CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap. So I just think there's a lot of interesting things here. One, it's that, you have to sort of scratch beneath the surface sometimes to look at what's driving these surges, but also it shows, again, how much of the crypto market is outside of the United States and how players like Korea, Japan can really push up the price of an individual token like XRP.
Some of the interesting thing on all of this is that it might be rumor driven, right? Like this idea that XRP might all of a sudden magically become a commodity. At least that's allegedly some of the rumors that are swirling around South Korea. So, I mean, like some of this could just be a lot of localized hype, correct?
Sure, but my understanding is that XRP has been popular in Korea for some time. I don't think this is just like the first time that XRP has taken off in Korea. And as you know, with tokens, it's like, yes, it can start with that kind of rumor or that kind of hype, but then it takes on a life of its own as the token rises and more people jump in, and then there's FOMO. So, it starts out with something concrete and then it goes into its own thing. And that might be where we are right now.
And in other news in Asia, Bloomberg is reporting that Hong Kong regulators are gearing up for a meeting between crypto firms and bankers next month. What's on the agenda there?
Yeah, so this is really fascinating. Again, if we look at the contrast with the United States, so, we've just had so many reports from the United States and this kind of rising panic in the US crypto industry that crypto is about to become essentially debanked, because we're seeing a lot of these crypto-friendly banks either basically falling apart or afraid to serve crypto companies. So Hong Kong, meanwhile, is kind of the opposite approach. Now, we've seen a bunch of reports saying that Hong Kong is positioning itself to become a crypto hub of Asia, if not the world. And now we actually see, this is quite interesting, there's increasing interest from banks in serving kind of Hong Kong crypto entities, but not just banks, including interest from Chinese state-owned lenders, according to Bloomberg. So I think this is a really, really interesting thing. And what's interesting, too, is that potentially, as Bloomberg reported, this could be filling a void that is caused from, some of these U.S. banks like Silicon Valley Bank, Silvergate, and Signature.
That's interesting because it seems that, historically Hong Kong has not been very optimistic toward the sector. China has banned mining as well as limited trading of cryptocurrency. So where does this pivot come from?
Yeah, it's kind of the big question. I mean, I think we are seeing increasing evidence that Hong Kong is serving as a kind of pilot or an experiment for sort of larger mainland China. So I think, as you just said, mainland China has been very unfriendly to crypto, especially over the past few years. But now it looks like they're kind of starting to dip their toe back into the water. And this is actually a very efficient way to do it. It's like, don't let crypto run loose in mainland China. Let's do it in Hong Kong and kind of do it in a more controlled way and sort of see how that goes, and then take it from there. And I think this is, and I think what we're seeing, the kind of like involvement of these Chinese banks, Chinese state-owned banks, I think is more evidence of that theory.
What happens to people on the mainland? What's their relationship going to be like with these situations in Hong Kong?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, as we've sort of said, and I think we have some charts that we can show in a minute, mainland China has never been completely out of the game, right? Like mainland Chinese traders, despite various Chinese bans, have always been trading to some degree. But this, you could argue, makes it easier. I mean, it can make it easy. For example, maybe they can open a bank account in Hong Kong. Maybe they can actually go to Hong Kong. Maybe developers are going to go to Hong Kong or closer to Hong Kong. But yes, I mean, I think, there have been traders already. So yeah, let's look at these charts for a second. So these charts are really great, interesting interestingly, they're coming out of court documents. Like I've been trying for years to find data on the Chinese market, and thanks to these court documents, now we have them.
You should have been a prosecutor.
I know, right? I'm clearly in the wrong line of business. But here, this is from I think the bankruptcy hearing. This is FTX. China accounted for 8% of FTX global users, and this is just so interesting because for years I had been hearing anecdotally that a lot of Chinese people were using FTX, but because it's not like supposed to really be there, you can't really see data of this. But now we see it right here in this. This is from FTX itself, and then there's also Binance. Do we have that Binance chart too?
Yeah, the Binance chart was really surprising to me from earlier this week from the CFTC complaint.
Exactly. So Binance, again, kind of an open secret. People know that there are Binance users in China, but here we have it kind of straight from Binance itself. Now, I believe this one is from 2019. So yes, it's not like the most recent, but still it's after the 2017 crackdown in China on crypto exchanges. So it's still quite notable when you look at the numbers there.
Yeah, I mean, China accounts for 14%, but even more surprisingly, the U.S. accounts for about 19%, 16% of
that is surprising.
The revenue share on Binance because, ostensibly they're not servicing U.S. customers, and they were initially a exchange built out of China. So I would have thought that most of their users would have been out of China.
Yep. Yeah, it's really, I mean, right. The US is what they're focusing on here, but they're both notable for different reasons. But the bottom line is that Binance isn't really supposed to be serving customers in either of those countries. So
yeah, and according to US prosecutors, at least some of that FTX data might be bribed. So I don't know.
That's a whole other thing.